25 years later, after working for the RSPB, I came across the opportunity to pull the two aspects together. I worked with Pam in the past, and we got together again, and we said, well, Pam had got this story, and I said, well, look, I could illustrate it. You know, I've done so much work with regards to drawing bitterns and sketching bitterns, and I know so much, you know, about that as a species because of the work that we've done. It seemed the obvious thing to try and bring my creative work and conservation work together.
Amos Madra.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm joined by two remarkable guests today. Author of the book Boomy the Bittern, which is, I hope I've said that correctly, Pam Earnshaw, and also, of course, the illustrator Sally Mills. A warm welcome to you both. Pam, let me start with you. How are you?
I'm okay.
Excellent. So we'll talk about the book very shortly. Thank you again for joining us both. Sally, we know we've got a slight delay in the line there, but hopefully you should be able to hear me. How are you, Sally? How are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you very much. Yeah, on this lovely sunny day in Somerset.
Wonderful. Absolutely brilliant. So, Pam, let's start about the book itself. So, you know, you come from an academic background. You know, your career in the past was completely different to one of an author, and obviously later on in life you went into writing, but nature's always played a big part in your life and who you are as a person. So first of all, talk to us about this book, and then also how you've got into a career as an author.
Well, this is my first book, and the story was written many, many years ago when I was helping Sally when she was warden at Ham Wall, where she was trying to make a habitat for the bitterns. And she asked me if I would go into schools and volunteer to go into schools with RSVB to explain what we were doing. And we were involving schools at that time very much. And so when I was asked to do assemblies and work in classrooms, I thought, oh, I need a story. I need a story about what we're doing. And that's how the story came about. And that was decades ago. And it's only really now that Sally and I have got back together this last year to bring about the publishing of this book.
Wow, what a remarkable story. And indeed, you know, it's never too late. It is here now. What can the audience expect from this book without giving too much away?
Without giving too much about, well, it's for young children who are learning to read, but also there's lots of references in so that it can impart lots of information to adults. And already we've had adults looking at the book and saying, oh, I'm going to buy that because I want to know more about the bitterns. So it's an easy way for adults too to get to know about the bitterns. And, you know, well, we're hoping it's going to be successful because the bitterns are a very, very special bird, and they do need a very, very special habitat. And with climate change and everything else going on, we wanted to bring this to people's attention.
Absolutely, indeed. And, you know, you look at what's going on at the moment, as you mentioned, with climate change and temperatures increasing, it does make it more difficult. Are they native to this country or do they migrate?
No, they don't migrate. We don't think they migrate anyway. And they used to be here many, many decades ago. When they were eaten, actually, and then became extinct here. So this was an attempt to bring them back. They had already come back to places on the East Coast, but we wanted them back here in Somerset. But Sally knows more about that side of it than I do.
Well, absolutely. And we will speak to Sally now. Sally, we hope the line is a little bit better. Thank you again for joining us today. So you've illustrated this book. We've spoken about the bittern there. Tell us about your own story, your journey into putting all this together.
So I've got an arts background, an arts training, which is where the illustration comes in, and I've always had a passion for wildlife, and particularly birds, right through my life. And when I graduated, I did some freelance work, but then ended up working in conservation, and I worked in conservation predominantly for the RSPB. And that's a lot of work. A lot of it was written, and then my conservation side together. And I was always sketching and drawing whenever I had the opportunity. And that's then when I got together with Pam, and Pam said, well, I could illustrate it. I mean, I'd seen so many bits and done so many sketches and drawings.
Sally, welcome back. I think we've moved to a new location. Looks glorious where you are. So, sorry, carry on where you left off.
Okay, so I've got an arts training, an arts background, and when I graduated, I did go do a bit of freelance work, and then I ended up, it's quite bizarre, I ended up in conservation, because I've always had this fantastic passion for wildlife and particularly for birds, and an opportunity came up into two, and then 25 years later, after working for the RSPB, I came across the opportunity to pull the two aspects together. I worked with Pam in the past, and we got together again, and we said, well, Pam had got this story, and I said, well, look, I could illustrate it. I've done so much work with regards to drawing bitterns and sketching bitterns, and I know so much about that as a species because of the work that we'd done. It seemed the obvious thing to try and bring my creative work and conservation work together.
Wow, absolutely fascinating. And again, just hearing that, how you brought your talents and your passion together for this wonderful bird. Now, of course, it's without saying, as Pam mentioned, we're in a crisis at the moment when you think about the environment and the climate change. What would you like to achieve? What do you hope to achieve with this book? What would you want the reader, and in fact, the public in general, to pick up? Which message would you like for them to take?
I think we've described it as a can-do story. It's a story where people, can read it and maybe take on something from it that they could actually do positively about their environment. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be large scale. It could just be providing a little bit of time as a volunteer, or just a little bit of expertise. I mean, that's how Pam and I brought this together. Pam gave of her time for free, and we worked together. We brought each other's strengths together, and Boomy the Bittern was born. So I know it's often said, but every little bit does contribute, does help.
And what do you think city dwellers like myself could do to just make that little bit of an effort and to, give back to nature, to help to conserve some of these, wonderful species that we have?
I think it's just to be aware about our footprint, aware about our impact, aware about what we do every day, and just don't take it for granted that what we do is always okay. Just to maybe question those bits, some gentle or just small things, and it's just maybe asking one or two.
Pam, adding to what Sally's just said, what do you think we could do? What would you? I mean, of course, this is a very positive, inspirational book. You know, it's again a great reminder that we can do anything, and you know that's what we like to say on this podcast. You know, it's about trailblazing the way. It is possible to achieve anything you set your mind to. But of course, you know, we live in a world where we have to try and get to work and do the mundane things. But again, as Sally said, maybe watching our carbon footprints, what could we do in our daily lives just to try and preserve the environment a bit?
I think one of the things, I haven't done my homework in relation to, is it Manchester where you are?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
But for people that live in London, there's a wonderful wetland just outside London, near Chiswick, which belongs to the wetland people. And, you know, visit them and find out more about nature. And, you know, try and get out into the countryside more and appreciate. I mean, it was interesting on that piece with Sally. You could still hear the birds, even though you didn't hear Sally.
I thought I was thinking the same as well.
Yeah. But I think one of the big things is think about your travel, and you know, one of the biggest carbon footprints is air travel, and so if there are alternatives for you, grab them.
Yeah, well said. And again, with this book, you know, can we expect a sequel? Are you going to be writing more books? I know it's been some years since you initially wrote this book, and you know, you had both come together, and it's only just recent that you've published it. Can we expect more again in the future?
Well, Sally is pushing me, and the bittern is a member of heron family, so it is a heron, and I mean, there are lots of different herons, so hopefully we will move in that direction and, you know, think more of bittern family and where that goes, because we've had a lot more different herons appearing on the Avedon marshes and in Britain. And as climate change is happening, there'll be even more to see. So it's so exciting what's happening.
That sounds great. Sally, talk to us about, you know, these birds, the heron, the bittern. You know, we just saw one fly behind you. You know, sometimes I think we can take for granted these wonderful creatures that we live with. You know, maybe stopping and reflecting and looking, you know, how can we, even in our own gardens, maybe, you know, maybe starting to spot some birds that we might not be familiar with. You know, is there little techniques that we could do to learn more?
Yes, of course. I mean, you don't have to know a lot. I mean, as humans, we tend to want to label everything. We tend to want to put a name on everything and know what everything is by, you know, we've got to be able to identify it. You don't have to. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the sparrows that I've got by the side of me here squabbling. It's just watch them interact. Just enjoy the colours and the movement, and you don't have to know everything straight away. You don't have to be an expert just to enjoy it. And I'd like to say it's there for free. It is. It's there for you to see. It's free. But then you can give something back once you start to understand, you know, what maybe some of this wildlife needs, you know, and then it becomes an interaction. Then it becomes a relationship, and it's a relationship that you can form and build and work on and enjoy. It can be a pleasure. It's there to be seen.
Yeah, and what a majestic song we can hear at the back there by the sparrows. I think you said it sounds so beautiful. You know, again, it shows us how beautiful nature is, and we should embrace and give back. You know, this is our planet. We have to look after
embrace. That's the word. Yeah, definitely.
So, Pam, when do we expect? Is the book out already? Is it we can?
Yes, the book is out already. And if you live in Somerset, you can get it from us directly. And we're hoping to get it into a lot more local bookshops. You can get it on Amazon, but we don't get as many benefits from Amazon for complicated reasons. And because we're hoping to give back some of the money eventually to the Avalon Marshes, which is the wonderful landscape near us that brought the Bittern back, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, as much as possible, we do it through, as I say, local bookshops, or you can get it through Cransthorpe, which are our publishers.
Absolutely. Sally, any final words that you'd like to leave us with today?
Oh gosh, look out for the next publication, and enjoy. Just don't feel you have to, oh, that's not for me. Just stick your toe in the water and just give wildlife a chance. Just give it the opportunity to impress you, and it certainly will.
Sally, you certainly have impressed me today. You know, I feel like running outside now. Just seeing where you are.
Great.
You know, and again, it's just the small things and enjoying nature for what it is. It's good for our own mental health. You know, and this week we're looking at mental health awareness. You know, it's good for our own well-being, and we gain from it. So thank you both very much indeed.
You're very welcome.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.